Our meeting called to order. First, let's have our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and
and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty.
liberty and justice for all. Everybody's attending tonight. Next, we have our Deputy Director's report.
Sure. So, Dr. Grindstead, members of the board, I appreciate being here. My name is Caitlin Cosme, and I have officially been on board for a week and a half. And like I said, really happy to be here. It's going to be, we got a big task ahead of us, but I'm confident we can get it done. I want to start by just giving a general report of where I am. Having just come on, I've really, in the last week and a half, been playing a lot of catch up. There was a significant amount of work that the advisory committee, so kudos to them, that went about before I joined. So I'm still getting caught up and learning a little bit more every day. That is constantly changing, and we're evolving as we go, but we're definitely ready to do that. So some other things on my end, I have met with all of the multi-division online partners that we have teamed up with. So Stride, Edgenuity, and Virtual Virginia. That said, I've at least established a point of contact, discussed course offerings, really looked at some of their program highlights, which has been a good eye-opener for me so that I can speak to it a little bit more with my individual divisions. I've also attempted to jump into some of the logistical considerations that I know we're gonna need to tackle. Students with special needs, how we're going to work with that population, SOL testing, enrollment into our SIS, our student information system. So we've got the ball rolling on that, at least establish that point of contact with each of those three partners that we've met up with. So that was what I did, starting out. And then after that, this week has been some really crazy week for me. I've tried to meet either in person or via Zoom with all of our participating divisions. And so by the end of the day tomorrow, that will have included 11 out of 13. And that's been really eye-opening. In this position, I'm going to be learning all of these divisions. So that started with me, what does your elementary look like? What is your middle? How many do you have? I want to know what their general goals are and how they're viewing this academy, and getting everybody on the same page is going to be a real task of mine. So that initial meeting is important, so I can put faces with names. I can learn more about the people that I'm going to be working with, that has been really great. I've enjoyed meeting all those people. And of course, getting their initial questions and concerns. I definitely do not have all the answers just yet, but I will have, and as we go, we can kind of learn and evolve together. I hope, I know we still have some divisions who haven't made up their mind, but I really do hope to have met and greeted with all of those people as sooner rather than later, so we can get those relationships built. And last but not least, I did, we'll discuss this later on in the agenda, but some Virginia Board of Ed approval to be it's a formality to get this approval as a program, a full-time program. And so we did have to do some work on that end to get all of that template filled out and submitted to the appropriate parties. So that's all on my end. That in a nutshell, I hope that was helpful, and I'm open to any questions you may have as we go, but that's kind of where I'm at in this process. So.
Anyone have any questions?
I do, Chair. Is it okay if I ask a question?
Yes.
Thank you. Megan Hamilton here with Washington County Schools. Caitlin, welcome aboard. I'm so excited that you are a part of this.
Happy to be here, Ms. Hamilton.
One question, out of the conversations that you've had with the 11 out of 13 counties, what do you see as a common thread, not only with their concerns, but also goals?
Sure. So a lot of several of the divisions have discussed what criteria are we going to use to make sure that those participating in the virtual environment are actually participating. So that's been a question that we've dove into a little bit, is that not eligibility requirements, but to a degree, a little bit. We don't want to put a student in a position where they are not meeting expectations and still being enrolled in that virtual setting. That being said, Senate Bill 1303 is still on the governor's desk. And so that will dictate a little bit of what that looks like on our ability to set criteria. And I guess that's first and foremost. Secondarily, there's just logistical considerations. That's what I hear the most from these meetings is what does it look like to get a kid from this program with this partner in our system as our student? Because, you know, one of the beauties of this academy is that we keep our kids in our division. So a Washington County kid is a Washington County kid, but they're getting their virtual instruction from an online provider. And there is some logistical moving and shaking with that we've got to tackle. How do we get those students enrolled in the correct courses, get them ready for graduation or ready for 6th grade and those types of things?
Thank you. Any other? Okay, if not, let's move to our action items. First, the approval of the minutes. Do you have any additions or corrections to our minutes? If not, do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve. This is Irene Mullins.
Okay, thank you, Irene. Have a second?
I'll second that. This is Alex Regent with Russell County.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it's passed. I hope all of you read the bylaws that was given to us. Is there any discussion about them before we vote on their approvals?
I have one question, Chair. On number 7, oh gosh, I can't pull up the document. Hold on. When it comes to us as a board, the very start of it, it talks about determined eligibility status. So my one question is, does that mean that districts would submit because the way I understand it, when we left the last meeting, that it's up to each district how they determine eligibility status. So does that mean that they would submit that to this board and then we have to approve that? Or is that something that's just worked out with Ms. Cosme and the advisory council? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
Ms. Hamilton, are you talking about Article 7 with enrollment?
Gosh, let me pull it up real quick. Sorry, y'all. Should have pulled it up before I jumped on board.
Article 7 says, student enrollment in Regional 7 Virtual Academy shall be based on a lottery system to be developed and approved by the board following recommendations from the superintendent's advisory council. Is that the one?
No, it's under section 3, number 7. So the authority of the Region 7 Virtual Academy School Board. Number 7, to determine with such professional guidance as it deems necessary or advisable the curriculum, eligibility standards of the students, and all matters necessary to the efficient operation of Region 7 Virtual Academy. So I guess my question is, since it's up to the districts, do they still need to submit that to us and we need to approve it as a board?
So the way, Ms. Hamilton, what we're working on the MOUs with each of the 3 providers is a general format for how students are approved. But then once we get that general MOU hammered out, each division will make that work for them. And so you'll have a general guideline to work from, but what you do in Washington County may be different than what we do in Bristol. You may allow more kids in, we may allow less, or vice versa. But our job is just to get the big work hammered out, and then for you guys to work out the small details, which is the important part.
Okay.
Can I add something there too, Keith? And I think Caitlin said something about this too, is we really have to see what Senate Bill 1303 says as well. So we need that information too, Ms. Hamilton.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Any other questions?
Yeah, on the bylaws, it mentioned on the board that each member would serve a 2-year term. Is that how it's going to be, or does each school division, would they be able to say, well, we'll make this a 1-year term for each member?
Mr. Z, I think the rationale behind the 2-year term is so that we have some consistency, especially as we're starting this out. Obviously, if a local board wants to make a change, I don't think anybody here would stand in their way, but I do think, at least for the first couple of years, having consistency would benefit everybody and the academy as a whole.
Well, the reason I asked that is because I think, as I recall, when I was on the board of the governor's school, seeing that was a 2-year term also, but everybody, what to my knowledge, was serving a 1-year term. And I agree with you. I think we should have a 2-year term on this, especially starting out to get the ball rolling and have that continuity as you're talking about, Dr. Perrigan. Thank you.
Alex, it also says unlimited, terms, so you could continue several
Right.
years.
More than 2.
At the pleasure of your board.
I agree. Sounds good.
Any other questions, please?
Yes, sir. I have one question. This is Leah Hank from Galax City.
Yes, Leah.
Yes, sir. I had emailed Mr. Perrigan with regard to the partnering school divisions, sorry, just going for the word for it, but let's see.
Leah, Mr. Hurt has made those changes for the new committee members. Mr. Hurt, could you email that out to the group? I failed to do so after you made those changes. Dr. Hurt, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Matt's fine.
Yeah, we did add, we've had 3 new divisions who have joined in since our last board meeting, and they were not in the original list of members. Dr. Hurt has made those changes now, and that was completely my fault for not sending it out after he made those changes.
All right. Thank you. I know we had discussed that and I hadn't seen the changes. I just wanted to make sure as we approve it that it was included.
Yes, ma'am. That's completely on me. Thanks for doing that, Matt.
No, thank you.
And I will note as we go and potentially add further divisions that will be added to those bylaws as we go. So thank you for that.
Any other questions, comments, please? And if hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve these bylaws?
I make a motion to approve the bylaws as amended there. Irene Mullins.
I have
Second.
all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion is carried. Okay, our next section is section 5, discussion items and introduction of new members and program recap. Dr. Keith Perrigan.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Grinstead. Just very quickly, we do have 3 new member divisions since we met last. Galax has joined on, Norton City has joined on, and Buchanan County has joined on. I don't think Buchanan is joining the meeting tonight. They still have not appointed their board member, but they plan to join us for our next meeting. And so, Gina, would you mind to introduce our new board member from Norton City? Oh, you're muted, Gina.
Can you hear me now?
We got you.
Miss Cheryl Redmond, she is a new board member this year, and she is a former teacher for our elementary school. So we're excited to have her on this team and bring the leadership from the perspective of a teacher.
Awesome. And Susan, would you mind to introduce the board member from Galax?
Certainly, I'd be proud to. Leah Hank is our board member representing Galax City. She is an amazing board member for us in Galax, and I know she'll be the same on this board. She's very interested and she's very excited, and you all will really enjoy working with her.
All right, and Dr. Grinstead, with your permission, I'm going to go around and ask everybody just to say hello and who they are so that our new members can see who else is a part of this board. And I'll start with Dr. Arbogast. Dr. Arbogast.
Terry Arbogast, superintendent.
All right, y'all have already met Dr. Grinstead and Ms. Cosme. Megan Hamilton.
Hi, I'm Megan Hamilton with Washington County Schools.
Mr. Sage.
Yes, Steve Sage with County.
Ms. Mullins.
Yes, I'm Irene Mullins with Tazewell County.
All right, Kevin.
Yes, I'm Kevin Sears.
Rob.
Rob Graham, Rapid City Schools.
Coach Z.
Alex Nakwija with Russell County.
All right, Matt.
Matt Hurt with the CIP.
Scott.
Yes, Scott Jeffries with County.
Ms. Cox.
Becky Cox, Pulaski County.
Dr. Ray.
Jody Ray, Radford City Schools.
Dennis.
Dennis Carter, Smith County School.
Greg.
Who did you say?
Greg Brown.
Greg Brown, Superintendent, Russell County.
Chris.
Chris Stacy, Tazewell County.
All right. And then that's all that I see on my screen. Tammy Jones, our clerk, is also on the phone, but I think she is actually taking minutes as she is a passenger in a car. If there's anybody else, I see Dr. Ratliff. Anybody else that wants to introduce himself?
Ryan Ratliff, Washington County Schools.
All right. Excellent. Well, so as y'all can see, we have a very large group and a very talented group, and we're really looking forward to seeing where our academy goes. One of our members had asked to just kind of give a brief overview and recap of where we've been and where we're going. We first started having these discussions back in November as we started to see our teachers become more and more tired and worn out from living in both worlds, and also seeing the decrease in student enrollment we had because some of our students were signing up with online academies. So the idea surfaced that we would develop our own regional academy. We would build our own curriculum, hire our own principal, hire our own teachers, and kind of do that in groups of 500 and just expand that way. And so when we started having those conversations, it looked like that it was going to cost us about $3,600 per student to do that, which seemed like a bargain at the time, even though we knew that there would be a lot of work to do. But as those conversations developed, some online providers caught wind of the fact that we were going to do this, and they started, our phones really started ringing off the hook at that point. And we were hearing from provider after provider who said, hey, this work has already been done. Won't you consider partner with us? And so we started talking to one partner, which led to another conversation with the Department of Ed, which led to another conversation with another partner. And so now here we are with a regional virtual academy, a board in place. We have an approval process that's going before the Virginia Board of Education at their next meeting. And we went from $3,600 a student to basically just about $2,000 per student to provide online classes from 3 different providers. I think to me, what is exciting about that, 3 things that are very exciting. Number one, I think we'll have an opportunity to protect our enrollment going into next year. So even if students do decide that they want to remain virtual, we have an option for them to provide, and we don't lose that enrollment because they're going somewhere else. I think I'm also excited because our teachers, we have spring break next week, and I've never seen so many relief folks to see spring break come because they are so frazzled and worn out from all the hard work that they've done. But next year, our teachers will be able to focus on just teaching in-person instruction and doing so in small class environments. And then finally, what I really like about this model is that we're going to have 3 providers who are all going to be bringing their A game because they know that in year 2 that we may go not with just 3 providers. We may reduce that down to 1. And so we know, and we may stick with all 3. We know everybody's going to be putting their best foot forward because they want to win our business. And so I'm excited about the high quality instruction that I anticipate happening as a result of that. And so that's where we are. I think our next steps is we do anticipate some other divisions in our region joining. And we hope to finalize the MOUs and have folks start scheduling students in the very near future. So it's a very exciting time. And I will say, we hadn't had an opportunity to tell you this, but Caitlin has done, in the last 10 days of work, did about 30 days worth of work. She has already proven to be a great hire, and she is just hitting it out of the park with every task that we give her. We'll talk about this in a minute, but even though we've been working with the Virginia Board of Education from the very beginning in this process, they suddenly remembered after our last meeting that we actually have to have their approval before we can develop ourselves as a board. So Caitlin has worked very hard to put that application together, and she got an informal blessing from the Virginia Department of Education today. So we're excited about that. But Caitlin, keep up the good work, and we appreciate you taking some of this load off of our desk. I'm happy to answer any questions about where we've been and where we hope to go if there are any of those questions. That's all I have, Dr. Grinstead.
Okay. Next is discussion of a progress on the MOUs. Rob Graham will be discussing that with us. Rob,
you're muted, buddy.
Thank you, Dr. Chair. You'd think after a year's time that you'd figure that out, don't you know? But so a couple things to add on to Keith. I'm so impressed with Caitlin. She's just done wonderful things, and as the fiscal agent, she has been so easy to work with as far as hiring her. We do have her agreement that was given to her, and she has it to look over and sign when she is ready to do that. We also have her cell phone has been delivered to here in Rapid City, and also some other equipment that she needs. So we'll have that to her by next week, early next week, so she can have her stuff there ready to go. That's one thing I wanted to mention too is we do have an attorney. For those of you who are new, his name is Rodney Young. He's Timberlake Smith out of Stanton. It is a firm that represents several different divisions here in Region 7. A lot of experience with education law. So we're lucky to have those. He is right now working on the MOUs, and just want to remind everybody the 3 organizations that we are working with right now are Edgenuity, Stride, which is also known as VII or Virginia Virtual, and then Virtual Virginia. And just to give you the prices that we have been quoted thus far, and we are so close to finalizing these agreements. Edgenuity, if the divisions choose to go with Edgenuity, they're charging $2,600 for elementary student, and then and these are year prices. For a secondary of 8 courses is $2,350. VII Stride will charge $2,000, both and that's K through 12, but that requires for the region to host 6,000 non-resident students, and those non-resident students are students they currently have in their organization, and those divisions that house those students will be provided a 5.5 administrative fee that is guaranteed on the number of slots that they choose to take non-resident students. And then now, if we do not get the 6,000 non-resident students, those prices do increase, but not significantly. They do not go over the $3,650 that Keith was talking about if we were to do, or I think it was $3,600 if we did that. If we were to do that on our own. And then finally is Virtual Virginia, and elementary for Virtual Virginia is $2,650, and secondary at 8 courses is $2,000. So those prices have gone down dramatically since we started working with these 3 organizations. The other thing with the 2 private companies, VII and Virtual Virginia, they are going to provide us a $50,000 stipend per year. to the CIP Academy, and Matt and Caitlin are going to use that money the best way they see fit for our region and our students.
Just a note there, Dr. Graham, you said VAVA in Virtual Virginia. I think it's VAVA and Edgenuity, not Virtual Virginia.
I'm sorry, yeah, VAVA and Edgenuity. Thank you, Caitlin. They will provide the $50,000 each, so $100,000 will be going to the CIP once we finalize these agreements. And so Rodney is working on the MOUs right now, and what we would like to do is to craft a template MOU like Dr. Perigin was talking about for all the divisions to use how they see fit. And so that gives a lot of opportunity for each division to put in the program that they feel is going to be the best fit for their school community. And then we will sign the overall agreement with Virtual Virginia. Won't have an agreement for us because they're a public entity, but Edgenuity and Stride will sign those for the Region 7. And that should happen within the next 2 weeks. There's still a little bit of negotiation. Edgenuity is final. Virtual Virginia's final. We're still negotiating slightly with Stride and VAVA. So once we get those MOUs, we'll get them out to everybody. And once we have those agreements for Edgenuity and Stride signed, we'll share those with everybody as well. Can I answer any questions that anybody might have?
Okay, if there's no questions, then we'll move on to written proposal for VBOE approval. Caitlin Cosme.
Sure. And Dr. Grinstead, I think I called you Dr. Grinstead earlier. I do apologize. Both of those gentlemen said some really nice things about me, but I'm going to work hard no matter where I'm at. So I'm ready to hit the ground running. I will say this document came at the beginning of I guess, last week. And so what it basically is a formality for the department or for the Virginia Board of Education to approve the Region 7 Virtual Academy as a full-time program. All of the documents that were provided in that email was what was submitted. And as Dr. Perigin indicated, we did get informal thumbs up from the gentleman that we submitted it to, that it looked like it had everything we needed, and it will be formally approved, to my knowledge, at the April 1st board meeting for the Virginia Board of Education. So everything there is ready to go. You'll notice that there's course offerings. Those courses are specific for Virginia students, and those are the courses that will be offered through each of the 3 programs, as well as an operational budget that has not been approved by this board. And I indicated that in the document, as well as just some basic information of how this academy will run. I also want to note that while we may be using 2 private online providers, the academy is a public program, and that's an important thing to note. Each of the kids that participate will still be in their division, and so that's a really neat thing about this academy that I want to emphasize. So I don't know if I would be on board if it wasn't the case. So I will take any questions regarding that document. Like I said, it's just a formality for the Board of Education to recognize us as an entity.
Okay, if no other questions, item D, cooperative purchasing. Dr. Perigin.
Yes, sir, Dr. Grinstead. Also to tag on to what Caitlin just said, there are other regional academies that have been approved by the Virginia Board of Education, but we are definitely the first virtual regional academy in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And to my knowledge, I've not been able to find any virtual regional academies anywhere else. Our academy was highlighted in District Administration Magazine this past month. Your superintendent has a copy of that. If you'd like to read that, it's a pretty good highlight of the innovative project that we've all been able to pull off together. At our last meeting, we did have a question from one of our board members about, this is great that we're doing a virtual academy together, but how else can we collaborate to do things well, such as purchasing? And we actually have a cooperative that many of your divisions are already a part of as far as purchasing food. It's called the Southern Appalachian Mountains Food Buying Co-op. We currently have 22 members of this. Most of those are school divisions. Some of those are school divisions actually in Tennessee who have came over to join and partner with us. And the regional jail that's housed in Washington County also is a member of this co-op. And so it provides a huge advantage as school divisions are pricing food, and takes a lot of the work of doing the bidding out of it. And I think that is something that we could probably model as far as purchasing technology or paper or any other type of supplies. And so that might be an easy next step for this academy to start doing some purchasing together. I think we ought to get the ball rolling with the virtual academy first, but maybe later in the fall, start talking about how we can leverage our combined voices and purchase things at a cheaper rate and with less work from all the divisions and putting out the RFPs. There's a document that we emailed you that kind of gives a summary. I won't read that to you, but I'm happy to answer any questions that I can about the potential of purchasing from a regional standpoint.
Any questions for Dr. Perrigan? Okay, let's move on then to future business items. Dr. Perrigan?
Well, I think that we hope to have MOUs to approve at our next meeting. And I know Caitlin will have plenty to report on all the things that she will have done between now and then. We hope to have Virginia Board of Education approval for our academy. Other than that, unless the board has additional assignments for us to undertake, I think that will be what we cover at our next meeting.
If I may, Keith, I know Caitlin's working on this too, because she sent it to me. Any board members or superintendents that would like a survey to send out to their community, she has that she can send to you. And she's also working on an informational packet to explain the program to our communities, as well as a website that I know Dr. Hurt and Caitlin are working on as well. So many thanks for that. And I think that'll help our communities understand better what we're trying to do.
Speaking of letting our communities know what we're trying to do, we sent out our recruiting flyer to all of our homeschool students today. And we hope to pull a few of those homeschool students back into the fold. And, we have nothing to lose but to try. So we're sending out their progress request information already. So we just stuffed a informational flyer about the free public education that they can now have access to through our regional virtual academy.
And and I will speak to having met with almost all the participating divisions to this point. I'm really looking, I'm trying to get a grasp on enrollment numbers moving forward. So maybe I'll have a better idea of what our numbers are looking like. I don't think that'll be by next meeting, but that is something that we've got the ball rolling. As Dr. Graham mentioned, some people are sending out a survey, some people are using, or some divisions are using their guidance counselors to reach out to those currently virtual. There's a lot of different methods about going about that, but that is our next step. We're having divisions choose which providers they want to go with, as well as let's get an idea of that 21-22 virtual enrollment.
Ms. Hamilton, do you have your hand up?
I do. Thank you for noticing. I'm trying to be respectful, so I use the hand this time. I have a question that adds to this. So do we have a general timeline of when we want to be able to fully promote this? And when do school districts really need to have a solid baseline of eligibility requirements, things like that?
Caitlin, if you'll let me, I would say that most superintendents are probably chomping at the bit for that. I know that as school counselors definitely are, because they're already in the middle of their scheduling process. And I think what we're really waiting on to kind of really release the dragon, so to speak, is to get those MOUs signed so we know exactly what the price points are. I know as a superintendent, I'll want to know how much it's costing me for those students to enroll. I think I think we can start with what we think the general requirements are for, the criteria for being admitted into the regional academy. I think we just have to know, and this is actually what the Department of Ed shared whenever we asked them to, because Senate Bill 1303 requires that the Department of Ed put out those criteria. I don't know that they're in a big hurry to do that right now. And so their recommendation is develop your own, and if you have to adjust it and make changes later, that you could do that. And so I think really, we would love to have that, but we won't. So the next step is to get that MOU so superintendents can know what the price point will be. Rob, anything else that I didn't add there?
Yeah, thanks, Keith. I've talked to all three of them, and they're all on accepting enrollment right now. And just so you all know this, all three of them have seen a much larger increase in enrollment, in virtual enrollment, than they even saw last year at this time. So I think that may help a little bit with division superintendents and Caitlin and guidance counselors and those folks knowing what to expect as far as enrollment with virtual students.
And I will also just add to that just a little bit. Every division is currently in a different stage of determining enrollment. So to answer your question directly, Ms. Hamilton, we do not have a formal timeline because there are some things at play that we need to get first. Like that Senate Bill 1303 does need to be approved for us to be able to make specific. We are finalizing that MOU, but all of those things being said, it is our hope that we will have established a timeline before too long so that we can get those numbers and really look at that moving forward.
Thank you.
Anything else? And do we need to set a time for our next meeting?
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Caitlin, how can we get you to, I guess, give a presentation or introduce you to our respective divisions? I think on the board that I serve on, at least, we've heard your name and heard you're wonderful, but I'd love to get your face in front of them at a board meeting or something. However, I realize that would be very difficult if every division wanted that, but I would love for our community to meet you as you're going to be the leader of some of our children.
Absolutely. Difficult, but not impossible. And so I would be happy to come speak at a board meeting. Throw me on the agenda and I'll be happy to attend, because I agree there is some value in knowing who you're working with. So feel free to email me. I don't care to send you my email following this meeting. Everyone has probably now received my email through some correspondence. Just reach out to me and we'll book a date. I'll be happy to come speak to boards.
Caitlin, I would love to have you come virtually to a board meeting in Bristol. We'll Zoom you in though, so there's not this much confusion. We won't use Teams. How about that?
Absolutely. Anyway, I'm welcome to come in person. I'd be happy to Zoom in, but that has been that will be one of my challenges, but that's also one of the beauties maybe of this position is I truly do feel like I'm getting to know 13 divisions. That is a lot of people and a lot of faces and names. But I think it's important because I am working with students all across Region 7. So just reach out to me. We'll schedule something and we'll make it happen.
Can I ask a question? This is Irene Mullins again. I was wondering if it'd be possible to get something on the various TV stations in the region about with Caitlin on there and what we're doing, and that would kind of be an introduction also. A lot of people don't read what we send home and they don't read newspapers and things like that anymore. So seems like Facebook and TV are the main means of media anymore. So would that be something that would be possible?
Ms. Mullins, I've sent that district administration article to various media outlets, Roanoke Times, WSLS, WDBJ. I think probably Keith has too. I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
And Miss Mullins, WCYV has already did a story on the regional academy, but I know they'll want to follow up as we move further in the process. I don't think WCYB covers Tazewell County though. What's your station over there?
They do parts of Richlands, but then that's it. The rest of the county is from WVVA in Bluefield or out of Beckley. I can't think of what its call letters are, but I wonder if they would share that with the other stations and do something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure Dr. Stacy would love to start recruiting over in West Virginia too.
Yes. Hey, we'll take all we can get.
You mean continue recruiting, right?
There you go.
And a suggestion I have on that is also a little bit further down the line so that we can make sure that the information we're providing is accurate and reliable and to the point, to quote WCYB. But that makes sure that we have all of our ducks in a row prior, but absolutely.
And I think your idea of a Facebook page is really, really good. And that's something that could spin off of the website that Dr. Hurt and Caitlin are working on too. So that shouldn't be too difficult to begin.
Right. Thank you.
I have a question. You mentioned that there were other divisions in Virginia or other areas in Virginia who were working on a regional academy approach as well. Are any of them contiguous to Region 7 or in other states joining Region 7?
Ms. Cox, Region 8 has decided, since the VDOE has provided the virtual Virginia option, that's the path that they're going to take and not do an academy. And I've not heard back from Region 3. I'm thinking that they may develop an academy. Part of the reason why is, we got a really good deal from Virtual Virginia because we all have very low LCIs, local composite indexes. Indices, but in Region 3 that's not necessarily the case, and so their price point for Virtual Virginia is higher there, so they're still looking at those virtual options. In Tennessee, for example, they have a statewide virtual academy. It's not regional, and it is actually housed in Bristol, and so Bristol has kids who attend virtually all the way from Memphis, but they have a different model than we do.
So we actually border West Virginia, Kentucky, and North Carolina as well.
And I'm not sure what are going on in those states. Maybe some of the superintendents in those areas know more, but yeah, certainly that is a place that we can grow and expand.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Anything else anybody has? Okay, Dr. Bergen, we need to set our next meeting date.
Dr. Grin said April the 29th would be the fourth. I'm sorry, that would be the 5th Thursday. We can do the 22nd or the 29th, whichever works best for the group.
What's your preference?
We have, Dr. Perigin, we have the Southwest Spring Region Forum on the 22nd. So
let's go with the 29th. Great point.
Okay, that's good. March the 3rd, we had our meeting, my grandson's birthday, and then today I have a granddaughter's birthday. So I was wondering if I was going to hit another birthday here for our meeting. Okay, so April the 29th. Okay, do we have anything further that anybody would like to talk about?
Well, I'd just like to ask Dr. Radford if they would mind to host it on Zoom, since this didn't go so well tonight.
I can do that. I'll send Caitlin the Zoom invite, and she can send it to everybody.
Great.
Sounds great.
No problem. Okay, if there's no further business, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn. It's Irene.
I will second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Okay, we're adjourning. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you.
Aye.
Bye.
Thank
See
you.
you guys.
I mean, if you got a couple minutes, let me
Oh, yeah.
share with you where.
I hope you got a few minutes, Dr. Rad, because I got something else I want to talk about.
This kind of outlines where I think we need to be on Virtual Academy. Three key things. And the LT means long-term and the ST means short-term. This thing's all driven, and the key is this pandemic-driven virtual. I think this has got a short shelf life, okay?
I agree.
I do think this could be a long-term benefit, and this could be a long-term benefit, okay? We don't have an answer to this, homeschoolers, and that was mentioned tonight. We have 80
Did we lose Rob?
I think so. I'll holler at him.
And I see that Miss Tilly's still in there as well. We can probably set it without him, though. What do you think? Make you say you didn't show up, so we're gonna set it for you.
I'd say do it. That's what happens.
I think that's just the nature of the game, isn't it?
Do assignments too.
So what I'm thinking is, so we do have. I see Dr. Arbogast. I also don't see Mr. Stacy. But what I'm thinking is this: maybe a Tuesday at 9 a.m. where we have a standing Zoom, and we come in. If we have things to talk about, we talk about them. If we don't, we come in. We say we don't have anything to talk about, and we leave. Just as a running. That way, we don't run into a lot of email threads and get lost in email threads, which I think is easily done these days. What do you all think?
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Caitlin, I know that your schedule is, go ahead.
Sorry, Keith. We'll just have to work around any of the state superintendent's calls on Tuesdays.
Oh, that's true. And it doesn't have to be Tuesday, Dr. Arbogast. It can be any day that.
No, and that's fine with me. But just it's every other. I mean, it's what they've got scheduled is every other week, and I think there's 9:15, Keith?
That's right.
And you do your regional superintendent on Friday, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I mean,
hey, Caitlin, I'll tell you what we could do is we could meet 30 minutes before the Region 7 meeting.
That's perfect.
Before the Region 7 super meeting?
Mm-hmm.
That's a great idea. So that's Fridays at 9:30, correct?
Sometimes it's 8:30, but we can make it whatever. We got the chairman here with us. He can do whatever we ask him to do.
I can back it up to whatever we want to back it up to. So if we're going to meet 30 minutes before, because I think we've been meeting every Fridays except the monthly meeting at 8:30. But we can back it up to 9 and meet at 8:30 for this if you want to.
That sounds good.
That sounds great. So Fridays at 8:30, and we won't meet this coming Friday, obviously, because we've had multiple conversations this week, but we'll start that maybe next Friday, if that works for everybody. Yeah. You were getting ready to say something, Dr. Perigin, before that?
That was it.
Okay. And I will schedule those via Zoom and send those invites out to everybody. I'll do them a few weeks in advance. Sound good? And so we said Fridays at 8:30. Okay. Anything else that we can think of?
Great job, Caitlin.
Oh man, you guys. We're gonna get there.
Very nice.
Hey, Caitlin, you didn't say this Friday, right? You said
no. I said no, starting next Friday, if that works for everybody.
Dr. Arbogast, I have a suggestion. After tomorrow, would you mind if we gave Caitlin the next 2 days off?
That'd be great.
He thinks that sounds good. Listen, I've been working doubly hard because I know that my schedule is going to shift here soon, and I really will need a few days, but after that, I'll be right back. Don't worry. It'll be just real quick. It'll be real quick and painless, hopefully, and then I'll be back. So, anything else you can think of? All right.
I think we're good.
There you go. I'll see you all.
All right. Thanks, Caitlin.
No problem. Thank you all. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good evening.